For those of you who don't know, back in 1990, we had this made-for-TV movie about Riverdale. That's where the title of this episode comes from. Back in, the 90s, we had this TV. This is what we had before we had Riverdale come out. And that's what this episode is based off of. For those of you who didn't understand the title reference to old movies, 1990s made-for-TV to Riverdale and back again, that's what we got for this week's title, Chapter 11. This is an alright episode. I don't think this was the strongest one we've seen all season. It just felt kind of like we were repeating some steps. We had a lot of great build-up to the next episode coming next week where we're going to find out who the killer is. This one really felt kind of filler in a lot of it. And I think a lot of that has to do with the beginning of this episode. We really repeated a lot of the same beats. Archie and Veronica, things with Alice Cooper, a bunch of the same stuff we've seen in previous episodes, building up to something new. There's still a lot of good in this episode, and I think it really benefited from a lot of the other things that happened, and I really think it's a strong episode, but it's probably one of the weakest ones I've seen this season since a while back now. Archie in this episode, he didn't play a crucial role, but he did do a lot, and I think he did as good as he could for what his story needed to be in this episode, and this is where I gotta give props to Cole Sprouse again. I watched this episode, I just finished it, and one of the things I really think is he's the only level-headed character in this series who is thinking rationally. He's not going out to investigate, he's not searching for anything, he believes in what he sees in front of him, and he's understanding everything going on from his angle, and he's trying to get it grasped perfectly. And I think that really makes for his character to be the most intriguing, and it's one of the reasons why I think people like his character the most. Because Jughead, he's the character that he knows everything going on, but he's not going to pursue more information because he just wants to believe what's in front of him, and that really has benefited this episode the most. Because I think the scene we have Archie and Veronica going to ransack FP's house, I just thought that was kind of a little too much, and I don't get why Alice Cooper is working at a high school newspaper, and now she wants these kids to help her investigate the crime of that, and Hermione and Veronica talking about how Hiram is involved in everything. It just doesn't feel realistic to me at times, because I don't think these high schoolers would be so invested in a story about the murder of a kid in high school. I know if somebody died in the high school I went to, I wouldn't go investigating it, because it just doesn't feel like a big deal to me, and it just, things happen. I'm not going to get involved in it, and I think that was a really great thing that we see in this episode is you shouldn't get involved because it can all come back to you, and it's a lot of stuff going on. I do got to give props to Alice Cooper in this episode. I think she did really good. Everything her character did, her story, it just made sense to me. I loved everything about it, and when her husband comes back into the house when they're having dinner, I thought that was really nice. She's just become such a powerful character who you can't tell if she's on the side of good or on the side of bad, and I think that's a really intriguing aspect that we haven't really seen from her character before. It's making it such a unique performance that I'm really into, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see these last two episodes going forward, what her character does and who she becomes. I think it's going to be really fun, really intriguing. And I guess I gotta say, I'm a Molly Ringwald fan, back in the 80s and all that stuff. I'm really happy she's in this series, but seeing her again, you start to realize, is she the best actor? Because a lot of and this is a problem I think I had with a lot of the episode. I think Betty and I think Molly, what was her character's name, Mary, I think they were just really stiff in this episode. And I think this is the worst we've seen Betty in a while. She just felt very stiff and like she wasn't in control of things, and that happens with your character. Betty in this episode just felt like a good plot device to get characters to certain areas, whether it be her mom or Archie and Veronica or Jughead or FP. She just felt like the person trying to get everyone to different areas, and it worked. She did her part, and I think it's alright, but Molly Ringwald, I don't know. I can't get over it. She just seemed okay. I didn't feel really interested, really grabbed by her performance, and I don't really care. Big props. Big props to my man Luke Perry walking into that homecoming dance with two girls on his arm. Damn there, Luke. You just kicking ass. I love you. Favorite character still is Luke Perry as Fred Andrews. I'm just in love with him. He's the best. So cool. Such an intriguing character. And I really liked Skeet Ulrich this episode too. Oh man, FP is becoming a really fascinating character because I think he actually is trying to get his life together, but he's still stuck in this rut where he's trying to figure out what to do and where to go. And when we see him, he talks to Jughead about going to was it Tulsa? He talks about going somewhere that I can see he really wants to go. He wants to get away because he wants his life back together, because he realizes that he needs his wife, he needs his jelly bean, he needs Jughead, and I really want them I really want them to get together again and just be a family. And you can see the struggle in him there. I really liked him in this episode, and I like that he's shaved, he's getting cleaned up, he had nothing to hide, and I think it's just been a really intriguing episode for him, really great character study for him. He does get arrested. He is the murderer of Jason Blossom, we are told in this episode. I think it's too easy to blame it on FP, and that's why I think we know it's not going to be FP. We had it revealed in this episode that they found the gun in FP's place, and I think it's just a plot setup. You know, we're going to have him framed, he's going to come out, he's not going to be responsible, everyone's going to be upset that they viewed him wrongly. That happens. It's not FP, I can tell you right now, there's no way it's FP. It was too obvious. He's too obvious of a guy to say is the bad guy to be the killer, and I really think it's not him. He did incredible. His performance in this was stellar. He's just really becoming his own, and I'm really interested in his character. I have a few gripes I want to talk about later on, but before that, let's talk about Cheryl. Cheryl was really good in this episode in her limited scenes. You really felt impacted, and you cared about everything she did, and I just loved her for that. Clifford Blossom's hair wigs. What the fuck, man? That was weird. That was, I think, a line that was really weird, and like rumors say that like his hair turned white as a ghost one night. Like, what? That's weird. So now he wears wigs to cover it up. That's kind of creepy. I did like that how we find out with the ring and how Clifford got it back because Jason threw it at them. He's like, I don't want anything to do with this family, and maybe that could be a reason enough to have Clifford be the killer. Just saying. You know, anything could happen. But no, I did like the story with the Blossoms in this episode, and I did like Pauline. Pauline is definitely playing a bigger game here, and I think that's a really intriguing concept. Pauline, when they, like, roofied her, that was crazy. I was not expecting that. And I guess it makes sense, because she keeps getting offered milkshakes, but, man, does their mom just, like, make her a milkshake every day, and then just gives it to her? That just seems weird. Does she just go to Pops for it, or does she make it herself? That's what I want to know about this episode. So I do have a few issues I do want to talk about. Number one, this isn't a big one, but when did Archie and Veronica have time to learn to sing Kids of America? I don't know when they had the time. It's not a big problem because I think the use of the song was really appropriate. One of the things that you can do well in film and in television is make people feel emotions through song, whether it be happy, sad, angry. Songs are a good way to get people to express feelings early on, and I think the way they use Kids of America when the police were ransacking FP's house and just looking through everything, and when they were singing at the dance, I thought that was really good, a really interesting way to tell the story. I think it really helped tell the story better, and I really did appreciate what they did there. Archie's guitar spin, that was awesome. That was really cool. I gotta say, that was nice. I do like that we're getting some chemistry and like a little romance there between Archie and Veronica, because I think those characters really work well together. Just like I see Betty and Jughead, I think having those two pairings just pair off there, I think it really makes sense for their characters. I want to see where that goes. But is Betty and Jughead going to stay? I don't know. I like how we had the teams divided, Archie and Veronica, Betty and Jughead. That was really cool. Other big problem, when are we going to get Josie back? Come on. When are we going to have Josie and the Pussycats perform again? It's been so long. We were at a homecoming dance and all we got was Archie and Veronica singing Kids of America. Get me Josie and the Pussycats. I really want to see them sing again. And I just really want something else to happen with those characters because they've built up Josie so much and we're not seeing a lot of her. Hermione in this episode, I love her in every episode. She did great in this. I really fell for her when you could see her just sitting there as Fred and Mary were dancing. I was like, oh, come on, man. Somebody just asked her to dance. Who wouldn't ask her to dance? I would have asked her to dance. Just saying. Kevin was here for some reason just to get his dad involved, I guess. Just like him and Joaquin are there to be gay. Nothing wrong with that. I do think we'll see more of their characters coming later on, but yeah, they didn't do anything. And it's just kind of a bummer, I gotta say. Because you could do more for the character, especially Joaquin, and I get it, it's fine. That's I guess all I really have for complaints. I think this was a really solid episode. It just felt lackluster in a bunch of different ways. I think the story was mumbled up a bit, and they just tried to get to the end where all these characters find out the same thing. The wig thing freaked me out, that was weird. Molly Ringwald, for a second I thought they were going to reveal she was a Blossom, but I'm glad they didn't do that because that would have been weird. There's a lot of stuff in this episode that just felt forced to get us to the next episode, and some of the characters just felt flat and stiff to me. But Cole Sprouse remains to be such a great actor, so talented, and probably the most relatable character, because you can see at the end when he's in his dad's house and he's crying, he's the only realistic character out of the kids, I think, who's handling everything happening in his life and around him with a sort of brevity, and that makes sense. And I'm really proud of that. I think that's a really good acting choice for him, a really good character choice. And I do hope that he does go with his dad to Tulsa or wherever it was, because he's right. This can't be the last story you tell. Jughead, you got so much talent, you gotta go tell other stories, which is why I think we are going to be done with the murder of Jason Blossom in this season, and the next one we'll be telling the story of somebody else who comes into town, Mr. Lodge. That's going to do it for me. Let me know what you think of this episode and this review. I will catch you in the next one. Good luck.